Hey everybody, what's going on? Special Big Thing episode here today on a Tuesday. For the obvious reasons, DC has announced their slate over the next 10 films, I guess, TV, comic books, animated, a lot of it. There's a clear-cut plan, although it's still very confusing, at least for me. I brought in Mike Kalinowski here to be on the Big Thing with me today. And we're going to talk about all the announcements, the particular movies, his opinions on it. I haven't talked to Mike yet about it all. I don't know how he's feeling about it. There's certain characters, like I've heard of Booster Gold, but I'll get a little more clarity from Mike on that. And this assassin Robin, apparently that's Bruce Wayne's kid. News to me, but apparently that's been a thing. So we'll also find that out. There's a lot to talk about, whether it's that, Superman, Supergirl, a Wonder Woman prequel series, kind of, in the style of Game of Thrones, a True Detective with the lanterns. If I was going to guess, I'm going to say that's the one Mike's most excited about, but we're going to find out. If you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, I just need you to show a little bit of class and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 65 soon. We're almost there. Just hit that button. Show a little. Apple Podcasts, we're now on video on Spotify as well. So you can head over there, patreon.com/thebigthingshow. This and more on the show today, guys. I am excited to be here with Kalinowski. Let's do it. It is the big thing. I am ready. You're ready? Good. Then let's do it. Welcome back, one and all, to the big thing. It's me. And this character,
this guy,
Mike Kalinowski.
Sitting in Steph's seat, I got the good lighting.
Well, it's actually kind of, I guess it would be, for a big thing, it would be Roxy's seat.
Well, either ladies.
Either ladies, or Coy. Coy sits there, too, for Capes and Cows. So.
Oh, okay.
So whatever you want.
Whichever I choose.
Do this. It'll drive me crazy.
What's wrong?
Is
that better? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, there
I
you
feel like I'm soft. Do you hear me?
No, you see the yellow? Well, you're definitely soft. But
turn my volume up. I can't hear you.
Here, try this.
What's that? I don't know. 2, 3?
There
we go. Now we're talking.
What a girl.
Now we're talking.
All right.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, I called you up because I did a video this morning, and I hadn't seen the Gunn video yet when I put the announcement out, but the Gunn video was pretty much the same.
Came a little later than the announcement.
Yeah, but not too much. What they did yesterday was that they had a bunch of press go, and
I know,
and they covered it, and there was an embargo on it, and then once 9 o'clock, then Variety and everybody and their mother started dropping it.
You notice how nothing leaked?
Well, because they
brought in the people that are, hey, keep your mouth shut.
Well, they brought in a certain amount of people that they wanted.
I heard it was small.
It was really small. Yeah. So nonetheless, they have it. It drops. I read it on Variety on the report that I was reading.
I read it. I think I got it right here. The Hollywood Reporter. I think that's what
yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot to discuss, to talk about.
Yeah, buddy.
The first part is they announced, like, let's just get right into this part of it, and that's what was so bizarre to me was, well, look, they were still leaving the door open for Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, Zach Levi, but that Cavill guy, he's gone. No, we're just clarifying. There's no chance he's coming back. What the hell's that all about? It's like everybody else has an opportunity to come back, and then they bring out the new Batman that they have with Robin is going to be like an old Batman with a kid, but they're bringing in a young Superman. What's happening?
Okay, so I know a lot of people wanted, I got to do a clean slate. That was their thing. You got to do a clean slate. That's, I think, what a lot of people expected.
I think it made sense.
Coming up to this, Cavill had that meeting. He was out. I don't know if Godot had ever, I think she just kind of got lumped in that, but I don't think she ever had that talk with them.
They never said it. Gunn made it clear.
Jenkins had the talk, like, I'm done with Wonder Woman 3, I'm out. But, and then Momoa did his, I'm still Aquaman, but there's other things playing in the DC world. So that was all nebulous. Ezra Miller's trying to, fix himself with his image. That's all nebulous. They said Pattinson is Pattinson. We've talked to Matt Reeves. That's his thing over there.
Yeah.
Cavill was only the one that was like, yeah, no, you're done. You're out.
Right.
So it's...
What did he do? Did he
unless, because my only thought is that...
Piss on someone's desk or something?
Gunn knew, okay, Superman is the linchpin. He is the guy that restarts all of this. He's the focal point of the DC world.
Yeah.
I need to start fresh with that.
Okay, fine, but the whole thing. But what's the difference between saying? Because then he also said in this report, but that J.J. Abrams Superman movie, that thing's still in development as well. Like, but why isn't the man still in
and he
development?
did mention that anything that doesn't happen in his little thing, his pocket, is Elseworlds, which is an imprint in the DC Comics that these are stories. So
why get rid of Cavill?
I don't know.
That's something makes no sense.
Because I don't know. I think, did you get this feeling when he's talking about we've got Shazam coming out and it's in the corner of the DCU, so it works, and Blue Beetle's going to be a great addition to the DCU, and Aquaman is Aquaman, and then we're going to start with this. But he never said that they're gone, or I just feel like they're waiting for the Flash to come out. I think
he says it in that video that the Flash resets everything.
Yeah,
he said that in the video, but then he's like, but Aquaman comes out afterwards. So
I know.
How does that work? So they can is this because the Aquaman was already shot, unless there's a ton of reshoots that they did that they made it like, okay, look, this is going to reset it, and then because Safran said this is a multiverse thing.
Yeah.
So if they then start to rewrite this Aquaman movie, if they rewrote it a little bit to where it fits into the DCU, well, then that would make sense.
Sure.
If this is a variant of Arthur.
And if you look at what they did with the first Aquaman, that was its own story. That didn't really connect to what Snyder was doing yet. It was the same actors, but it took liberties. You know, Mera appears after, which would have appeared in his Justice League. So it stood alone, made $1 billion. So maybe they're like, you know, this is, I have a feeling they were talking, Safran and Gunn came, was like, we need to completely reset, start over, ground, and WB's like, you know, we got the film called The Joker, made $1 billion. We got Matt Reeves' Batman killing it. Our Aquaman made $1 billion. We got 4 films coming out. Now you can't do a complete reboot. You got to you got to be a little gray area with some of these things. He's like, well, what about Superman? Can I have Superman? Because we'll never know the story of what happened behind the closed doors with Hamada and all those people.
But everything you're saying still is silly, even if you did it that
silly,
way. No. Everything you're saying, even if that's all accurate, is still confusing as hell.
Not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, because like think about it, like where you have, all right, like so Blue Beetle does fit into the DCU, and then they announced this, and we'll get into all the announcements of the stuff that they did announce. But Amanda Waller.
Yeah,
that's a variant of Amanda Waller, or it actually plays into the other stuff. Like, I guess things could be explained inside of the Flash, and you'll learn a little bit more as it starts to come about, which you would hope. But they didn't answer a lot of how is this going to be not confusing, because when they started saying, had they announced, because I was definitely, I wanted a Cavill movie or another one, but once they said he wasn't coming back, you go, okay, well that sucks. They have a plan. And then they're like, well, everybody except Henry Cavill. They're like, well, how does that work? That's weird.
They're in a weird period. And listening, kind of watching the feedback on Twitter this morning, there are still people that are like what we're saying is like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's my Superman. I don't know who's my Batman.
Right.
You got 3 Batmans now. I think we're kind of in a wait and see period. I know this was done. I think for years people were clamoring. They just wanted a plan. So I think God's like, we got a plan now.
We got a plan.
We're not going to give you all the answers right away because there's no fun in that.
Essentially what they did, it looks like anyway, was what they were doing that was good for a while, because they were such a mess for a bit, and then they said, okay, look, let's put out movies like Joker and the Suicide Squad and all these movies, and they just kind of had these side movies, and it played, and you just had DC movies, and if you're a DC fan, you can just go in and say, okay, I just want to enjoy a good movie. I want to go watch the Pattinson Batman or Joker, and you can do that. And the connection was it was all over the place. They didn't know what to do with it yet. So with this plan, it's like, no. If you want to tune into the connected universe, we got it. But if you want side adventures, you got it. I just think for the casual viewer, it's going to be a lot to try to keep up with, because it's like, oh, wait. So if I tune into this, that's going to connect to that, but that's not going to connect to that, and that's my Batman. That's not what...
Only thought is this. I have a feeling the Flash is going to happen, and he's going to be running through the Speed Force, and we're going to see all these. I think we'll see a shot of Chris Reeve as Superman on a Earth somewhere. I think we'll see John Wesley Shipp as a young Flash, and because they've established that's Earth 90. Yeah. That's this. So the people will see this, and the film will end with the definitive end. Either Ezra Miller's world leaves, it blows up, dies. They use the whole crisis thing, and this going forward will be the world. But what is on the other hand, which I think James Gunn doing, was they said he's like, this is going to be animation, live action, video games. Right. It is going to be the same actor. That's incredible.
I love that. I love that they're like the plan itself that he announced. That we'll talk about again momentarily. Is I like the plan. I think the plan is interesting. I think there is a fair argument to be made, and there's 2 sides of it, right? There's a fair argument to me that this is really James Gunn's Like you look at the things that he announced.
Sure. Oh yeah.
This is all James Gunn.
Oh.
So if you're not a James Gunn fan, it's like if I like James Gunn's sensibilities. I like what he does. I like the type of stuff. But if it was like if Sam Raimi came out and did, and I respect Sam Raimi, but I'm not a big Sam Raimi fan.
He's got his
style. He's got a way. So Sam Raimi or Tim Burton came out, started.
Taika Waititi.
No, but I like Taika Waititi. I just for that. But if Taika Waititi came out,
if you saw Taika Waititi's DC, I'd be kind of like, I don't know about this.
Anything Marvel, Star Wars, you're right. So if Taika Waititi, who I like, right, but his style wise, I'd be nervous. It was like, well, here's a Taika Waititi.
Right.
That's a great example actually. So Taika Waititi comes out and says, all right, Star Wars. He's taken over. He's the president now of the Star Wars slate, and here are the projects, and they all sound Taika Waititi focused. I would be nervous. So if I'm not a James Gunn fan, and I was like, okay, great. So they have this because there was one project that I was like, oh my god, this is like straight up like
Creature Commandos.
I think that's what it was.
The animated one.
Yeah. Well, he's writing all those.
That is James Gunn to a T.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of these projects
here.
It. So the James Gunn, he comes out, and after they did this entire slate, during the video itself, he
there you go.
There's the Creature Commander. So I know nothing. So you're pretty familiar with the Creature Commander?
Somewhat, yeah.
Tell me what you know
again,
about.
So I'll say this, like you had said, this is not my cup of tea in the world of DC. Like, they've done variations on this throughout the years. New 52 had a very good version of it. That's Rick Flag Sr. because people are saying, is it Rick Flag? It's his dad or his
does
grandfather.
Does that connect into the Suicide Squad?
That's what I mean. Because say what you will about whether you like his style. Like Gunn loves his actors and loves working with them.
Yeah.
Like Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
And Joel Kinnaman, you could tell, because he picked and chose who he brought from the first Suicide Squad to this one. He clearly loves Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah.
And now here's Rick Flag Sr. So this way it leaves. It doesn't. He died in Suicide Squad, but it still kind of keeps that character and the continuity of it. Like that's his son. It's not just we're not rebooting Rick Flag and sticking him 40 years ago.
Right. But so the Suicide Squad. I mean, I guess it's not really necessary to tell you whether or not because it takes place because it's werewolves and shit running around against the Nazis, which is interesting. But this was just a comic, this particular thing?
Well, it's been comics. There was a great, the DC animated films, they had what were called DC Showcase, and they were these 15-minute shorts that they included on the main film. And they did one, it was a kind of Creatures Commando. I don't think that was the name of it, but it was like, it was vampires, werewolves against Nazis. It was awesome.
It sounds fun.
Like
Moon Knight?
Overlord.
Oh, Overlord.
Did you see Overlord?
Overlord was amazing.
This was like an animated Overlord. So set in that, these are a little quirky. I look like Weasel in there.
So I mean,
on the end there, look like the
oh,
Gunn's brother.
Right. From so
there's
look,
Mrs. Bride of Frankenstein.
This is right up Gunn's alley. I mean,
think
this is
it's GI Robot on the end there.
Okay, but either way, this is right up Gunn's alley.
Of course, and this is him.
The question is then it's going to be an animated show, and it'll probably be on like HBO Max or whatever it's on.
Yeah. But let me say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
About these characters. And we'll get into the Authority in a minute here. Authority's a little more popular, but those characters. 10 years ago, Guardians of the Galaxy, grew up with Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
I could tell you maybe a couple of the characters, and I didn't read any of the comics. Now I love those characters. They got video games, they got theme parks.
Right.
So with him taking that and going, we'll have some fun with this. Watch.
And
in 10 years, they're going to be fan favorites.
Well, he said he already wrote the episode,
I know. So
which is interesting.
He's got that talent. If there's something he likes, he's able to make it to the mainstream. It's not so quirky. He's like, that's that quirky crap.
No, he likes the quirky. He likes the quirky,
but he makes it palpable.
He does.
Like Rocket Raccoon.
He's got
come on, man.
So here's like the difference I always talk about. Like Michael Bay thinks he's hilarious, and he's not at all. He's like the most unfunny person like ever.
He should just stick to action.
100%. Stop trying to tell jokes, right? Yeah. James Gunn's a funny dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you look at something like that, the Guardians Christmas special, that was hilarious, and then the Suicide Squad.
That's a very rewatchable movie for me.
It was my favorite comic book movie of that year, and that scene when it's both Idris Elba
Peacemaker and Blood
going through that camp,
sport, yeah.
And the reveal at the end without spoiling, holy shit, dude! I was sitting right there. I laughed so loud. I was like, I was by myself. I didn't care. I was like losing it, and I was like, that's that kind of stuff. But I do understand once again, where there is a fear from a lot of the DC fans, like, okay, maybe this show, that calls for that.
Yeah.
But maybe there's other stuff because there's talk about him. He wrote Superman. Like, I don't want to see a lot of jokes in Superman.
But also look at you say with Bloodsport, with Idris Elba. Like, he wasn't a joke in that movie. He was the serious character.
He was.
The Rick Flag with his death. That's some really great stuff.
100%.
So I was with you when Gunn came aboard and he started writing everything. I'm like, I don't know if I want to see a James Gunn Batman film.
Oh, I'm not there, by the way. I'm just saying I can see the concern.
Absolutely, I see the concern. But I think he knows enough. And he had said, he's like, I forgot the exact words he said about bringing the best writers that love these characters.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to find, I think there's things that speak to him because someone says like, well, he's in charge of DC. He's writing Superman. He's writing, what's Creature of Commandos. But I think if you get a creative that wants to tell stories in this sandbox, I bet he's had stories in his mind for years that he's now gets to, it's like, what? I bet he's sitting there 24 hours a day just writing and throwing out ideas and loving it.
I'll tell you, one of the things that I really enjoyed about, or I really liked about the article that I read was when it went over the writer's room that he involved.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I've been hoping and crossing my fingers for that Star Wars would do, and you kind of there's like rumblings that Lindelof and Filoni and a few other people had been in a room, but we don't know, right? And you're hoping this is like a confirmation. There's writers from screenplays, not only from comic book movies, but then you got the dude from The Martian, you got comic book writers.
I don't know where I heard Drew Goddard's name thrown around.
I mean, you hear it all the time.
I don't know where I heard that, but I heard his name was thrown around that he's working with this group.
I think he was listed in that article.
Okay, maybe it was in the article. Someone either mentioned this morning that he was involved, and I think that's such a great thing to have.
I'm pretty sure. Isn't Goddard isn't he the one who co-wrote The Martian?
I thought I didn't even do Godzilla.
I don't know. I remember. Either way, I'm pretty sure you're right.
I like him though.
But it's the room that they put together that he doesn't have to just do all this stuff by himself and Safran. And so they announced this one. This is the first kind of animated show. But when you and the timelines of what's coming out first, like he had mentioned, you're going to get all the old school stuff first. The Flash, which would probably be the reboot. You're going to get Shazam first, and wherever Shazam goes, then that leads into the Flash, and then there's going to have to be something that kind of reboots it a bit, and then you throw into Aquaman. And whether or not they did reshoots or not with Aquaman, well, they still have time to do it because the movie doesn't come out until December, and they put some stuff in there to push us forward. Because let's not forget about Blue Beetle.
But I just think Blue Beetle and Shazam are just so separate. I just feel it's.
You don't think Blue Beetle fits into this new DC?
I think it could, but I think it's not. I'm trying to think like.
If you don't know, this is what concerns me. You're like as big of a hardcore DC fan than anyone I know,
right?
And you watched that video from Gunn, and you still don't know what the hell.
But I will say this: I was, you try and, as everyone's doing now, looking at everything he says, and when he mentions the 4 films, he says, and Shazam has always kind of been this side pocket,
right?
That's what he said.
Yes,
and the first one was, even though it was part of the Snyder era of
DC
films. They acknowledged it. He comes in at the end and he's got the suit, but we don't see his face.
Right.
So it was acknowledged. So, and I think that character and what they did with it, I don't know what you would do differently with it if they needed to reboot it eventually. So I think it kind of works. Blue Beetle, I think, is the same. If it takes place in Texas or New Mexico where in the comics take place, it could just be its own thing,
I know,
but then again, we're getting into, there's the rumor that Ted Kord is in that movie, which is, I heard Jason Sudeikis' name kind of banging about, which would lead to Booster Gold, which just got announced.
Yeah.
I just feel the films are not like Joker, where it's just like it doesn't touch anything; it's his own thing.
Right.
I think it's like, that could exist with what we're going to tell this story going forward. This will work.
Could exist.
It could.
Right.
We're not going to acknowledge it yet.
Right. That's my point with the
because maybe they're waiting to see how well it goes.
Right. There's no clear cut. Definitive, this is what it is, because if it doesn't play right, then they don't put themselves in a position. Yeah.
Even though we're never going to see it. Batgirl. Yeah. That included Michael Keaton. That was clearly established in the new DC Flash, whatever they're doing. That was going forward. Mm-hmm. That's not happening.
Yeah,
so
and
that's not one of those pocket films.
From what I heard about the Flash, it's a great point about Michael Keaton. So what I heard about the Flash is that he is heavily featured in this movie and is amazing in it.
Like he's not. From what I heard, he's not like a supporting character. He's a co-lead.
That's what I heard. Yeah. And so, like, same thing. And that he's fantastic in it, as always.
Of course.
But what does that mean? So, like, let's say you're James Gunn. Okay. And you're going back and you're going, okay, look, so we have all these movies coming out, and now everyone is talking about Michael Keaton again as Batman. You don't touch it? You leave it alone? Or does he play Batman with the young Robin in the new series?
Now you're at the point where it's like, you're Gunn the fan or Gunn the creative? Because as a fan, I think he looks and goes, Michael Keaton started it all almost. I mean, there's Reeves and stuff, but he's Batman. Yeah, I get to play with him. I get to have him, and he always says his bottom line. He always says his story is key.
Yeah,
where do you go with the story?
Right.
Like, he's the mentor to the Flash.
You just let me know. I'll be right over here.
So I just think when they're talking about Batman and Robin and the young Damian, he's too old to be a father to a 13-year-old boy. I think that's
right.
So that doesn't work. Because then we're almost getting...
That kid's not going to be 13.
I mean, Damian's borderline 10-ish.
In the comics, they're not going to make him that young. No chance.
I hope they do.
But I don't think they will.
We'll find out.
Well, we're going to talk about that more. You're going to need a lot of energy to keep up with this. And
I'm giving you a lot of energy?
No, I'm saying you got to have a lot of energy to keep up with this. In order to do so, you should take some Athletic Greens. Let me tell you about Athletic Greens. You guys know how much I love Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens every day. You guys know it. I've been talking about it forever, and there's a reason why they're on the shelf. I mean, they're on the shelf, for goodness sake. And why did I start taking it? I wanted better gut health. I wanted increased energy, immune system support. I hated taking pills, vitamins, and I wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. And that's what I do. You guys know it. I have that. I'm not going to lie to you. I saw it when I first started taking it. I was like, it's green. It's yummy. Tastes good. You get intimidated at first, but then after you take that sip, you're like, oh, man, they actually made it taste good. And I take AG1 in the morning. I put it in a water bottle, and I shake it up, and I love it. And I do it right before. Now I can do it right before the coffee. It's great. It makes me feel unstoppable. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do it. It's good for sleep quality, too, by the way. It really helps with sleep quality. I noticed that right away. And I don't like combining all vitamins, and I've never been really a big vitamin guy, taking all the supplements and bunch of different things. This makes it easy for you. You just take it in one scoop. Done. It's 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods. It's so good. It's so good, and it's so great. And you guys know for how long I've been talking about it, and I've gotten so many responses from you guys of people who've been trying AG1 and been loving it. And you get it delivered every month. Very easy to make it a daily habit. So if you are looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You go to athleticgreens.com/bigthing. That is athleticgreens.com/bigthing. Check it out today. Thanks again to our friends over at Athletic Greens. Use that code because it is so helpful not only to the show. People are always asking how you support the show. You support yourself. You get yourself some of those vitamins. I'm taking a lot of I'll tell you, the sleep quality is, to me, the best part of it. You just get a really good night's sleep, and you're getting all those vitamins. So thanks again, Athletic Greens. Use that code. Again, athleticgreens.com/bigthing. All right, Mike, let's get into a few more of these stories. The Amanda Waller series, which I don't understand all the way through. This is a live-action series, by the way, and it's got the great Viola Davis in the role, reprising her role as Amanda Waller, but it does tie into the Peacemaker, so that means, I guess, Peacemaker is part of the DCU because this is announced in the DCU slate, so I guess Peacemaker is part of it, but they're not doing season 2 of Peacemaker, but some of the some of the Peacemaker squad will be in this. Like, this is where Confusion 101.
Okay. But he's behind the 8 ball in the sense that, like, they gave him carte blanche on Suicide Squad. And then out of that, he had so much fun. He's like, this Peacemaker show, we're doing this.
I love that show.
And then suddenly, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Out there, you know.
I love it.
And some people are like, well, it took liberties with it. And I'm like, who cares? You know, who cares? What they did is like, oh, Superman's got a poop fetish in the sense. Like, if you don't understand the concept behind that, James Gunn's not crapping on Superman. He's this D-list character that's never met Superman is taking a shot at him. But now they're like, I think he's kind of like, ooh, I got to reboot the DC. I just created that stuff, and I love it. I want to keep that with it. So if he's doing a reboot, all that should be gone, and Waller should be a new Waller. But it's not.
Or is it? Is it a variant?
It's not a variant. I mean,
variants
in the
whatever.
Is it a different world? But I don't think so. I think it's the same Waller.
The same events have happened.
Completely wrong.
That's what I mean.
Completely wrong. I could be. I think
this is why I think that as much as I like the plan of an announcement of a Waller show is great. I think that's love. But the question though is, if you don't know or if you're not ready to announce exactly what the hell it is yet, pun intended, did they jump the gun?
Hey, there you go. I was just thinking about that when you said that word. I think this might have gotten rid of some of the confusion had we got this announcement a month out, the week after the Flash left theaters. Then we get this video, this article, the press release. I think 2 months ago he's like, January. By the end of January, you're going to know our plan. I think they were set to that, and
Well, but they have to though, because
you do, because everyone wants it. Connective universe.
Not just that. I mean, you're right, but it's not just that, because if you waited until, like you say, June,
yeah,
well then you're basically you could have waited until July and then waited for Comic-Con.
You absolutely could have.
You could have done that, and maybe that's what you wait until. But the problem even with that is then you have to answer so many questions leading up to, and then you're casting your shows and it gets leaked. You're casting your movies and it gets leaked.
That's a good point. This stuff is in production, right? Or pre-production. Right. They're going. And they're going to be casted soon.
Superman, which we'll get into in a moment, like it's written.
Yeah, you're right.
Then like the announcements for the directors got to start coming out, and then it's just a pain in the ass.
Leaking, and then you lose
momentum.
Nothing leaked. I mean, it was only
it's a day.
A day.
Yeah.
Nothing leaked though. Nothing.
Right.
And then
they did it right.
It was great, and we all got it at the same time.
And so that's the thing that there will be clarification on all of it, I think. I mean, even when it happens.
I would think so.
And the clarification might very well be that, hey, it's going to be confusing. And I just don't know. I do think that it would have been a lot easier. And I think that you're partially right, that if you've got moneymakers in Aquaman and Shazam and all this stuff, that it's like, well, that's why we're continuing to doing. But I think it would be a lot easier to just go, all right, this is our new slate. This is what we're going after, because we already announced, like the Batman and Joker, it was already announced.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got that stuff. It came out. Let it come out. The Aquaman movie's going to come out. Flash is going to come out, and then it's over. Now, what could happen also is a little bit of a ruse, and I think this is also possible. They said they're leaving the door open for Ezra Miller to return, Zach Levi, Gal Gadot, right?
Yeah.
The door can be open, but it doesn't mean anybody's at home when they walk through the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because they want to sell tickets to the movie theater to let people know, hey, we're closing, and they never let it come back. Well, why am I going to see their movie? Because Cavill, he's not lined up for anything.
Right.
Momoa's lined up for Aquaman. Ezra Miller's got Gal Gadot's the only one that isn't lined up for anything, but they're lined up, and it's like, okay, we don't want to tell everybody that it doesn't mean anything because that could hurt ticket sales. Just tell them the door's open.
I saw that the minute they announced Gunn with the slate and stuff, they're like, why am I going to go see The Flash now? Why am I going to go see Aquaman? Because they're going to be good movies that can be enjoyable. Those people are wanting everything to build to something else instead of just, but I get it. I do understand it. I can't discredit that because it is a kind of like, so Gunn, the first thing that came out there, we got 4 great movies coming out.
Right.
4 great films and this and this and this. So he,
But what's he going to say? Even if they're,
of course. But you did see the change in him when he started talking about the stuff that he helped create.
Of course.
He came alive.
He's excited
but it's his
about
stuff.
it. Right.
This is him talking about 4 films that he had nothing to do with.
So that's the role of the president.
Of course.
Now he's got to play that now to where and you got to make money for it, because when those make money, he's going to run into a bit of an issue if they start to make a lot of money and then people want them back, and then he's got to figure out how to play him in there, because I think it's a detriment to him if he's working on this plan and he's got this whole plan that he's announced, and then Aquaman 3 they want to make, and he's like, well, but it doesn't really fit into what we're doing, but it's another side project.
Here's the thing: if the films are good, everyone's going into these 4 films coming up skeptical. If the films are good, like Black Adam, it went gangbusters first weekend because everyone's excited. This, that, and we saw the film. It was kind of like, very good. If Blue Beetle, if Shazam is great, it's going to make money. If the Flash is great, it's going to make money. But also, on the other hand, it leads to the point of like, let's say Flash is gangbusters, Keaton's fantastic. Like, I want more of it. So the next time I'm going to see Flash, it's going to be a different actor, and I'm not getting Keaton ever again. This is bullshit. Right. So I'm like,
absolutely. But that's
what do you do then?
That's what I mean. It's just so confusing because your hands are tied, because you have to promote your film. You have to try to get people in the theater to watch that film because it's going to benefit. But there's also that part of you that's going, okay, I hope it just does good enough to go, okay, well, it's a standalone. And in he does say in that video though that it's going to change things inside of the DCU. So something will affect it. At least that's what that's what you would assume. The one character that could and should do it is the Flash, and makes sense to do it is the Flash, to explain the rules.
Yeah,
that movie. And that's what could potentially get people in the theater even more, because they're going to go, this explains the rules. Because we don't know right now, we don't know what the rules are.
Right.
But we do know the project.
There's not much as far as the way of reshoots are going. Yeah. I've heard of cameos being either added or dropped.
Right.
They're not changing the plot of this film.
Of the Flash, right.
Yeah. Right. It's been pretty much done for a very long time.
People are saying it's brilliant. So
I'm just like, They always did know, though, the pre-Gunn, they always knew with the Flash, we've got to clear this up.
Yeah.
We've got Keaton, we've got Affleck, who wants to say he's gone, but now he had so much fun shooting this. You know, I think they knew this will clean up what we've got.
It could work.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
So then you got the Amanda Waller TV series,
Yeah.
and they're connecting TV, and they're doing all that. And this, like, you put Viola Davis in a TV show, live action show. I mean, you got my attention. I mean, she's a phenomenal actress. The character's interesting, and the world could be interesting also, and it sets up a good era in TV.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Now this is the one. This starts it all off. This is Superman, and it's a film that comes out, Superman Legacy, and the movie is not a origin story, which I think is very smart.
Yeah.
You don't do an origin story, but Superman is and I don't know if you know this or not. Superman is my favorite comic book character out of every comic.
I didn't know that. Marvel, DC, everyone.
From everybody, because
Okay.
it started because of my dad taking me to the Christopher Reeve movies, and like,
the best.
a lot of people, they're the best. Superman 2 is still my favorite comic book movie of all time.
Really?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
Do I think it is the best as far as made?
Yeah.
No.
But your favorite.
But it's my favorite because of the nostalgia feel, the belief that I had that was the kind of Superman I always wanted. Like, even when he had his pitfalls and the things that he had, and the fight back, and the fight with Zod and Non in the city, like all that stuff. But Superman has always been the
Roxy Strider.
All right, that's-
Do you have Bane for her chant? Is that what
it's
that is?
everybody's. It's everybody's. So
Yes,
I know. You know that came from the corruption. But anyway,
That's right.
the point is that the Superman in general,
Chris Reeve.
after Superman 3 had come out and Superman
Watching
4,
3 again, there's still some good stuff in 3.
yeah, but it's pretty. I mean, it's
I know,
it's
but there's-
tough. But then I'm a big fan of the Man of Steel movie. I really enjoy
love it.
And I think that I thought that Henry Cavill got a bum rap, never had a chance.
Yeah.
To do, you know, what's funny is I'm going to release this short today, and I didn't realize it. Do you know that Joe Manganiello was pretty much cast as Superman?
Wait, what?
So
Back in when?
like 20 it was Zack Snyder. He wasn't allowed.
Joe
Manganiello.
Oh, I'm thinking Joe Montana.
No, not Joe Manganiello. Joe Manganiello from, but he was working on True Blood, so they wouldn't let him out. So I have that
Joe
clip.
Manganiello, huh?
Yeah, I have that
Really?
clip. I'm going to put it out. Yeah, and I forgot that we had it on an old interview. I was like, I got to put that out today.
Wait a minute. What were you guys just talk with him? You and Rock? Was it you and Roxy? You just posted a clip of him. What was it? You guys were talking.
Which one?
Oh,
The
come
Arnold,
on.
The
It was,
Arnold one?
No. It was an actor who missed out and he didn't want to do a show or he
Oh, that was no, that wasn't
just
him.
posted it.
That
You
was-
just
that was
posted
Michael Ironside.
Yeah, that was it. Okay, that's
Very,
right. Yeah,
very
not Joe Maverick.
different
That's
looking
right.
actors.
Never mind.
One's in his late 60s.
Yeah, you know.
One's built like a brick shit house.
Yeah, you know. Anyway, that's right.
So anyway, so Superman, this is announced. Now
Joe
this is
Manganiello.
where all the confusion comes in, though, because you have this Superman movie that
Yep.
Gunn is writing. Now this is, again, as I've just advocated, that I really like James Gunn's style. I think there's a lot that he does that's really good. Peter Safran is trying to get him to direct it. I don't want that to happen. I would rather, for a lot of different reasons.
Okay.
A lot of different reasons, not just for the fact that I don't want to hear everybody going, "Oh, Superman, what's Superman going to do? He's going to crack jokes in the middle of his thing." That's part one. Part two, and not that I think that's going to happen, but part two is the guy is writing all this other stuff. He's taking care of everything else. Let's not have him direct one of the biggest movies coming out too. And I understand where they probably feel a little more comfortable in doing that, but find someone else and let him oversee it. Let him give his thoughts. And this is going to be this movie's everything. Because
He even says it's everything. It starts it.
It's also the movie that got me a Joe's Pizza from Corey, because I told them there was no world where this movie was coming out in 2014. No world. Winston was guessing that it was potentially
2024.
2020. What did I say? 2014.
Yeah.
2024.
No way it's coming out in a year.
No, they announced it. It's 2025.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I would have. They bet against you.
They bet against me.
It's dumb money.
Winston said, remember, this was a couple of months, it was like 2 months ago, but Winston had said that it's possible that July of 2024. I said, you're out of your mind. And then Corey was like, no, I think December 2024. And I said, no way.
Corey's have been a little more believable. A 2-year.
It was
That's a
possible,
That's a possible.
but a reach. And I said 2025 realistically makes the most sense when you think about they don't even have the guy cast.
Yeah.
They got to cast him. They got to get a director. They got to shoot the movie. They got to
4
do
movies in
previs. They got to do everything else.
4 movies in 2022.
Yeah, and
2023. I'm sorry. 4 movies 2023.
But that's
there's
only
nothing in 2024.
yet. Well, remember though.
The TV stuff will be
Yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
TV.
Remember though, the only reason there's so many movies in 2023 is
They got
because
pushed back.
everything got pushed.
Yeah, I
like
getcha.
Shazam, Aquaman. They were.
We were all supposed to have seen all of them by now.
Beetle was supposed to come out this year, but everything else was supposed to come out. All right.
Easy. Jesus, show that makes boss. Two-piece combo.
You want some of this? You little bastard. But anyway, so yeah, but they have this movie coming out now in 2025, and it's going to kick everything off, and you'll already know the Superman at that point. The hype will be through the roof with this.
Yeah.
We'll have a story kind of telling. Now, when did the Lanterns come out? Does that come out 2024?
I didn't pay attention to dates.
Yeah, I think this is the only one that they were
So
that
that's
they
a thought.
definitively said was coming out of
20,
specific
well,
date.
2025 is also Reeves's Batman. That
Batman 2, Chapter 2. It's called now.
Yeah,
Is what
that was 2025.
right. But this is the first DCU film,
Right.
And it is
Gods
gonna,
and Monsters.
Yeah, Gods and Monsters. Well, Gods and Monsters is that's the name.
everything.
That's the name of the slate.
Right.
Right.
But
at least the first
this
part of the
kicks
slate.
off his. But I think we'll
Yes.
get Creature Commandos way before this.
I think so too.
But again, it doesn't tie to the
Yeah, I think that he said, from the way it made it seem like the Lanterns and all those other shows were coming out first, leading into the big movie, which would make sense because you can produce TV faster because you have this entire arc, but you can still, while the shows are airing, you can edit and be piecing together in post production the other episodes.
Yeah.
So, but it all leads up to Superman. Now, Superman's been out there; he's doing his thing, and what I liked, it was the only movie out of all of them that were announced that seemed like, even though it takes place in a cynical world, you have this beacon of hope in Superman, right? And like he is happiness, he's hope, he's all that, the thing that we knew about Superman in a world like today, which I think is an interesting concept, right?
Yeah, very important.
Yeah. So, do you like this approach for where they're going to go with Superman?
Yeah, I was a little trepidatious at first when they mentioned a younger Superman. I was like, oh, we don't need the origin again,
Right.
But then I look at Cavill, Man of Steel. He was younger.
Yeah.
And it still worked.
Early 30s,
Yeah, I think I would assume they're going to go like the late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very interesting that they used that one image, and then Gunn had tweeted out, he was doing some research, that they're using All-Star Superman as kind of like the template. This is a Grant Morrison run.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of the quintessential, if someone's like, I don't know anything about Superman, read this book.
Right.
And that kind of gives you Superman at his core, what he is. So that's a great sign that they're using that as inspiration.
Well, that's what I think is another thing that people aren't talking about enough, is that this isn't, a lot of times when the comic book movies have failed is when it was ran by the suits who just go, oh yeah, there's certain elements that are great about that. Do that, put that in there. Yeah. Great. I can't do that, scratch it. This is a guy who reads all these things, reads his comics, and has the comic book writers in the room to adapt the stuff that he loves.
Yeah.
That's a big win for comic book fans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really big win, and I think that he's going to be doing that. I'm not as familiar with this particular run, but like you guys are. But like this is something that I think will work. But I got to get past the confusion part of it, right? It's like the idea of getting another Superman movie finally is exciting, and it is the move to make. I think everybody, if you really put it together, it's the first one that kicks off, because the other smart move about that is that you're going to follow it up with other characters who aren't as well known or aren't like the top three, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. And so this is the question is, God bless whoever they cast.
I think you cast an unknown.
You have to cast them.
I think most of these shows should be unknowns. The name sells themselves.
Depends on it, man. Like
it's just
Supergirl.
I love Affleck, and I love him in the role, but he brought so much baggage to it.
Sure,
and not baggage. I don't mean baggage in a bad way. I know
what you mean. It's like that's Ben Affleck.
Decades. That's Ben Affleck as Batman. You just get look at Chris Hemsworth. We didn't know who the hell he was before
He's
Thor.
just got that chemistry.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
No one knew who he was.
Right.
Now he's Wolverine for what?
Right.
25 years, and people are clamoring for him back.
It's a good call, but I think
give these unknowns the chance.
But what you do need to do, the same way that you did for those that you mentioned, you have to put people inside of that movie, some stars inside of the movie somewhere.
You cast your Perry White as a famous actor.
Whatever it might be.
Your Lex Luthor.
Yeah, right.
Big name.
Which I think could work better. But an unknown for Superman works for sure.
Oh my God, does.
But we'll see. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this kid. Whoever it will be a kid, because it's like his early 20s.
And he's going to be Superman in everything.
Right.
Animation, video games.
Right. And that's what you sign up to. So it's going to be interesting. It's the one that it sets the whole tone, because I'll tell you what, this will be like what was that Monsters freaking universe that they had? Remember that Monsters universe? The
Dark Universe.
Oh my God, dude, that was a wet fart. And I'll tell you that
Let's-
if this movie bombs,
let's put it like this. Let's say
dark.
Let's put this out there in the universe to give this guy who gets this role a chance. Because look at Brandon Routh. He came into it. Singer said, "We're making a spiritual sequel to Reeves' Superman."
Right.
And seeing Robert Meyer Burnett did this great. He did the behind the scenes for Superman Returns. It was like 2-hour documentary, seeing what this guy went through to train to emulate Christopher Reeve. And then the movie didn't do well. People crapped on him. And now we're 10 years later. People love him.
It's like Anakin.
And they saw him in Crisis, and they saw him in the suit. Like, oh, get him to do Superman now. So let's not wait for these actors 10 years to show them how good they were. Let's, when they get there, get behind them and go, you know what? We've learned our lesson from the Hayden Christensens and the Brandon Rouths of the world. Let's give this actor the chance.
Remember, though, generations grow up.
You're right.
I mean, because the people who are giving Hayden Christensen the big standing applause are the ones who grew up with him when he was 10 years, when they were 10 years old watching it. But which is warranted and fair, and that's. It takes time, but I liked Brandon Routh when he was in the.
I liked Superman Returns. I really do.
I don't like the ending of it. I like the.
Well, there's a lot that he's creepy as hell in that movie. You know, staring out her window and stuff.
Right,
I get it.
And I like Kate Bosworth, but I didn't think she was a good choice for Lois. But that's another question, like who's going to be Lois? Who's going to do all this stuff? So there's a lot coming up there, but it's the big movie for them, for sure.
For sure.
And that's going to be the first one out the gate, and then they got this live action show. Now, whether or not this comes out after or before, is this? Now, was I right? Is this the one you're looking forward to the most?
Well, so last night I was sitting there and I said, you know what? I'm going to do my top 5 hopes for what we're going to get announced. And I got 4 out of my 5.
Okay.
I wanted to have a movie called The Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a trilogy. One set in the 30s with Alan Scott, the first one. One set during the space race in the 60s with Hal Jordan. And then a current day with Jon Stewart. And then the final film, they all come together to face Parallax, or whatever the big bad guy is. So that we're getting Green Lanterns, we're getting John and Hal. I love that the fact that we're not just doing John, not just doing Hal.
Yeah.
But I'd always said I thought Green Lantern would work great if they did like a training day, an older mentor taking a young rookie but in the galaxy, out in the world, space scumbags everywhere. So they're setting it on Earth. But I think that works so good. You've got this veteran Lantern teaching this young kid.
And what they used a lot, and many times both the announcement and in the report, was the reference to True Detective, which I love because they said that Berlanti's version, I guess, they were going to do was a big space opera.
Yeah, and that was, they had different lanterns from different time periods as well. So
right. So space
a little ambitious, I think they were.
Yeah, I get it. Like space opera, you're always going to make me go, huh? Well, because I'm always interested in it. But the scaled down True Detective, this is what I'm saying, like in the beginning of this episode, what we're talking about is confusion aside, the plan sounds cool. Like the plan sounds interesting. The references and knowing how to pitch something to people who are interested, like, look, you like True Detective? That's where we're going with this. And it can get a little kind of darker and a little crazy. So I did my video and I said how that there seems to be a lot of stuff that's kind of darker inside of this entire thing. And someone's like, well, Snyder did dark. Snyder did dark. I'm like, so no one's taken away from Snyder on dark. But if you compare it to the entire thing, you had Snyder's verse, and then the next movie was Shazam, and then you had these other. Like, so it's like no one's talking about shitting on Snyder, but people are just looking for an excuse to bitch. It's like that's. I liked Snyder stuff, but where I'm talking about the overall entire theme is like this kind of darker shit going on. Yeah,
and I think I saw some people like, what, the detectives, a couple guys in green rings all lit up doing a detective story. Let's do. It's like, I don't think it's going to be them solving Joe Smith got murdered by some gangbangers. Right. It's going to be an alien body.
Like Men in Black, but not as
dead on the streets. This alien body on Earth, and it's just like, how the hell did this happen?
Like Alien Nation. Remember, like like Alien Nation. James Caan.
Where it's but it's stuff that the cops can't handle. Like, what the hell is this? And I mean, the Green Lantern Corps, they're cops. That's what they are. They're intergalactic cops.
And as an HBO Max show, that's
push
pretty
it a
great.
Little bit.
Yeah, you can push it a little bit and put it together. And so that's why I'm curious if this is a 2024, 2025 show. Like, what comes out first? Because what they said in this show was that this show discovers what the overall first phase, I guess, of like Gods and Monsters is. Right. That's what he said. So if that's the case, is that before Superman, leading into Superman? Then that would be 2024.
The best thing to think about this, and I just hit on this, for DC, the big seven, DC characters were always looked at as the gods.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvel were us, everyday people in extraordinary situations. DC, and that's why DC maybe not have resonated with a lot of people, because it's us watching the superheroes and the gods. So we know the gods are, so the monsters are the evil in this world. And it's these two forces kind of how we meet them. And I think that's a fascinating to Alex Ross, one of the kind of greatest kind of DC guys of all time, and his art and the iconic images we always see, it's always Alex Ross.
Right.
They're the gods. And to know that that's the inspiration for it, you know, it's kind of awesome.
Yeah. And so that, I would assume, I think it makes sense that this would come out in 2024.
And like you said, TV could be much like we talk on Sith Council constantly about the TV and how it seems like it's always that's here already. That's here already because they just shot it. They just shot it. They're coming out.
It's
so
just
it's easier to
produce.
I would say the time you start your writing to the time you can get in the air within a year.
You could if you put this together, if you put this show together now and you cast it, you get the directors, you have everything right, and you start shooting in, I don't know, let's say August. Let's go a little bit. Let's say you start shooting in August of 2023. You can have this show in the air by September of 2024.
Think about it. Think about it back in the day, pilot season. You're casting in May. So you're writing in January, casting in May. It's on the air for September.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
And these are a little more tech heavy.
Yeah.
I mean,
this just goes into what's the plan, right? Is because what I got in that video from Gunn was that the overall, what this is about, really plays into the movies and the overall theme. That would make sense leading in then to Superman, as opposed to Superman coming out first and then this comes out after it's ready. So I don't know. We'll find out a little bit more.
And didn't he say about the lanterns, or maybe it was Swamp Thing, where what's happening here will affect?
That's Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. Okay,
yeah, because he said that it's outside, but there's still stuff going on.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that one, we don't know. Again,
was that the official image, or did you pull that up?
No, that was from his video.
Okay, because that is the current. Yeah.
Anything on the bottom there with the little.
So that was the current Earth Year One or Earth One series. It was standalones. The concept behind those where it was they did a Superman, they did Batman, Wonder Woman, Lantern, Teen Titans. Those were books. They came out as trade paperbacks and said, okay, you don't need to know DC continuity. These are stories set on this Earth One.
Yeah.
And they're great stories. A lot of Reeves's Batman took inspiration from the Batman Earth 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 3. So that's the fact that he's using that's some really good stuff.
All right, so then moving on, and then here's this one.
Okay, this one.
All right, so this one you're familiar with. This is.
No.
You're not as familiar with
I know what it is. Okay. I'm not a fan of it.
Oh wow, okay. So
I could not get into this.
All right, so Gunn is
this to me was the swing at the fence. Like I would have never in a million years guessed this is what he was.
He's through the moon on this one.
I know,
and this is not only a TV. This is not a TV show. This is a movie. So this is the second movie that's going to be coming out after Superman. So they say, and this is The Authority, and it's basically what he said was that. And maybe you know more than I do.
I can't.
You don't know.
I don't know the Authority that well. I didn't like him.
This is what I read on it, right? So he said that there are a bunch of superheroes who believe that the world should be cleaned up, but they want to do it in their own way, right? Yeah. So what I got from that, he's like, "You never seen superheroes like this," and I automatically went to like The Boys.
That's exactly what I was always like. The two leads are gay, so it's a gay couple, which is kind of cool, and that's what I knew of it at the time. It just didn't resonate with me ever, you know. But what I love about that announcement is the fact that, like we said earlier, the Guardians of the Galaxy, I couldn't care less pre-2013 about those characters. And I love them now. So to know what he could do with this and open up to the larger world, I think that's fantastic. But again, I love that he took a swing at that.
But he is taking swings, and he can introduce us to new characters, and we've seen what he's able to do so far. Yeah. But this is also, I'm going to play devil's advocate also, that if I'm a DC fan, I'm going, this guy's just making the stuff that he wants to make. He's not taking in consideration what maybe everybody will like. He just wants to make the stuff but then again, on the flip side of that, I think that I encourage the fact that if somebody's that passionate about it and think that they can tell a story because it resonated with them and they want to get it out in the world and say, hey, I'm going to put this person on, I'm going to do this, I'm going to show you what's really interesting about this, that maybe you didn't respond to it when you read it. I'm going to show you stuff that was great.
I remember saying it. I remember like 2013, I was telling him it was like Guardians of the Galaxy, this could be the MCU's first bomb. Yeah. This could be the bomb. Like, no one's going to like this movie. I was saying that, and I was just like, this movie's incredible. Yeah. Like, I would have loved to have seen instead of this, like a Justice League Europe or Justice League International, these kind of quirky characters set in weird, it's comedy, it's funny. That would have been my go-to if you're doing a James Gunn in the DC. But he didn't. He went But that authority has a massive fan base.
Yeah, but
Massive.
not
Superman level. No.
But it's got a fan base inside of maybe the comic book world.
Sure.
Because like nobody else knew what the hell this thing was. Now the question is this though. Once again, and it's not even a question. It's a statement. It's a statement that this movie, if the Superman movie bombs, this movie never sees the light of day. This movie never sees the light of day.
I'm trying to live in a world to think of what happens if that Superman movie does bomb.
It's over. It's over. That movie, it's Dark Universe. It's Dark Universe all over again. Doesn't matter how good those TV shows were. If that Superman movie bombs right out the gate and loses money from Warner Bros., it's over. Would you? I mean, because you think the fans are gonna? If it depends,
I'm a different side,
but it depends.
I'm not the guy to ask that. I'm not the guy to ask that because my fandom love of DC.
You're going to see it no matter what because you're rooting for it.
Yeah,
because you're rooting for it. Yes,
I'm going to say this. I use this analogy a lot, and I used it back in 2016 on DC Movie News. I said, "This stuff to us, it's like our sports."
Yeah, right.
DC is my team.
Right.
Sports, if you're a big football guy, baseball guy, no matter what happens with your team, you stand by your team.
Yeah.
You have a couple bad years, your quarterback sucks.
And they picked up some great big free agents right now.
Your coach sucks.
Right.
Your owners trade whatever they hate it.
Right.
You might not even be close to Super Bowl for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
You stand by your team.
100%.
You get a Wonder Woman 84. You stand by your team because you know you believe in them, and even when they're not
they
good,
got the talent. They just need the organization.
Even when they're not good, you still love them.
Right, because they have the talent.
So
they need the
that's
organization.
where I am with DC.
Well, but right now you're in a good spot as a DC
it's
sports
a great
fan.
spot.
You got a new owner.
Yeah.
You got a lot of new,
new blood on the team.
New heavy hitters, and they're bringing in Superman. They're bringing in this rookie hotshot quarterback.
They just built a new stadium for him.
100%. But if the team blows it on game one, and it's a big game, people are going to go. Oof. Because there's a lot of money put in that game, in that first game. So it is. It's very interesting.
I love it. Like you said, it's our sports.
It is. But the thing is, like, when you have Superman, people will say, like, now if it's a good, look, wait, hold on a second. The other thing that I will say though, it really depends on the marketing and everything behind it, and it'll be different this time with Gunn in the driver's seat. But the Suicide Squad is an example. That movie was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
It ate dog shit at the theater.
Shit.
And that's also pandemic wise and all that other stuff too.
Right.
But it ate it. And so that would be a harder decision if I'm Zaslav and I'm looking at it going, well, this movie didn't do very well, but it's awesome. It's awesome. So I don't know what the hell to do. Maybe it's our marketing approach, whatever. I believe in this movie. Now, if he sees it, this stinks. Yeah. And everyone else says it stinks, then you're in trouble. It stinks.
It's interesting because we talked about this in Sith Council with the fan base where it's splintered because you see it. There's a good portion of the fan base that are like, it's not Snyder. I'm not going to see it.
Of course. Oh, yeah.
James Gunn is shit.
Right.
All this is shit.
Right.
And it's just like, but we look in the microcosm of everything. That's a small, devoted group.
Right.
Comes to box office. A good movie's a good movie. If you make a good Superman movie, I think audiences are clamoring.
I agree.
For a good Superman movie.
That's why the casting is so important. That's why the trailers will be so important. That's why, there's a lot of hype. There's gonna be a lot of hype. So, all right. So, but this movie though, man, if Superman does well, then the authority is in a Guardians of the Galaxy type position.
I see what you're saying. It's like people are clamoring for the next thing in this new DC slate.
Because it sets it up to say, okay, we have enough confidence inside of this what Superman did, and now this plays into that, and it led us into this movie. Then people are going to want to see it.
I'll say this: that's a movie you cast with big names, stars.
Some.
Because
I think half and half.
Yeah, you can't sell it on the name alone.
100%.
You can't sell
it. Agreed. You need
You get. Holy crap! He looks awesome. He's a gay superhero. Hell yeah!
You need a couple people inside of that particular role. All right. So that's still in the movie verse, and then we move in and we get to TV again.
Interesting.
And now Paradise Lost, again, saying the right things to me, and I mentioned in my videos, I always have to mention Knights of the Old Republic. I was like, I'm just wishing it one day someone's going to go, we're making a Knights of the Old Republic TV show, and it's going to be in the vein of Game of Thrones. And what does James Gunn do? He said, this is going to be like Game of Thrones. And you got, the Amazon sticking knives through people's necks and seeing how this whole thing came to be.
I don't know what that image is from.
You don't know the
No,
comic?
every image that we've thrown up so far that he's used, I know what it's from. That one, I don't know what it's from.
Well,
so I apologize and hang up the geek cred on that one.
All good though,
but
don't know. Nonetheless, this is this prequel series that does not have Diana in it.
And they mentioned that, like, it's very specific that's what they chose. They didn't tell. It's not like, I don't think it doesn't seem like current day Themyscira.
No. They said it. It's the origin of it.
Right. Okay. So that was it's
the origin.
And the whole gal we don't know what's going on.
They're protecting themselves here. They're protecting.
She came out. It's like, we got some great things coming for Wonder Woman with me.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. Like, what if they call it, whatever this Flash sets up, that anybody could show up, whether it's, again, I know Variant is Marvel, but they at the end of this show, Gal Gadot is revealed as Wonder Woman at the very end of it, or whatever it might be. Who knows? Right. But that's not even the important part. The important part is that it's setting up this particular world first, and it's setting up Themyscira for the DCU in general is what it's doing, because the mythology and all that. And once again, it's not going to have I don't think it's going to have the PG-13 gloves on. This entire phase, this entire slate doesn't seem like it's got kid gloves on. It seems like
it got varying degrees of rating.
It seems like you can go R with something. Yeah. You can go more, even if it's a PG-13, a hard PG-13 like Matt Reeves' Batman, for a lot of this stuff. And I think that's what is so intriguing to me. Like a Game of Thrones, Themyscira, excuse me. Themyscira, that to me is very intriguing.
Yeah. I don't want to say adult. That's to mean that kids can't like this.
More mature.
No, I think a little more mature. I think kids can get it as well. I don't think,
for this?
No, I don't think that is. I mean, Themyscira, Island Full of Women. You have some fun, but explore those themes. That's what I'm saying. Explore those themes.
It's going to be pretty. This one I'm excited for, especially because I like the smart choice of making a TV show expansion.
There's just something maybe you asked me. I don't know if someone was like, "Did you think Gal's gone?" And it was tough because at the time it was kind of like the pins were lining up and everyone was getting knocked down. I don't know, because there's such a love of her in that role.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I hearing myself say it, the wrath. Hearing myself say it before, though, I think it's starting to come more clear. This might be the thing. Go out and make the announcement. Say that the door's open. And if one day we decide to use them and we can use them, then we will. Just say the door's open.
He just knew he could not do that with his Superman, because this is going to be the start of everything. I have to have but it's slate.
Still, I know, but I would have, maybe because they came out and said that whole thing with Henry, I would have just said the door's open for everybody. Because then,
because there's Elseworlds, the Elseworlds. I get
the door's open. Yeah, the door's open for everybody. Now it's like, when is it open? I don't know. The door's not open right now, but it'll be open for everybody when it's time, and it's not really ever open. It's like, that's fine. And just say it's open, and one day maybe we'll make a thing.
But maybe that also keeps the certain groups that want certain versions of these characters.
Right, I don't know.
Be vocal.
I don't know. So this TV show comes out, and look again. This is a lot of stuff, and then this one.
Here we go.
Is this the one? All right. So it's interesting because everyone's asking if it's either going to be Dick Grayson or who's the other one? Nightwing, right?
Dick Grayson's Nightwing.
Oh, Dick Grayson is who's the other one?
Jason Todd is Red Hood.
Jason Todd. So those are
Tim Drake is Robin.
No, Jason Todd is the one I was thinking of. So, but I had never heard of this character. I didn't even know Batman.
Damian Wayne?
No, I didn't know. Awesome. I didn't even know he had a son.
He's a bastard.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about him.
Okay, so back in the '80s, there was, I think it was called Birth of the Demon. There was
he's been around for a while.
Well, no, it was a story of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul.
Okay.
Eloping, having a kid.
But he's Talia al Ghul's kid?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's the grandson of the demon.
Okay.
So, but Talia's pregnant at the end, gives the kid up for adoption. Bruce never knows he has a kid. So it's kind of taught as like, that happened in a story that they told, we don't really. So then Grant Morrison, with what he keeps referencing, brought Damian back. He's like, Talia shows up, this is your son, Damian. He's been trained as assassin for 10 years, so good luck with him. And it's phenomenal.
Oh, it's really good.
And he was such a prick. Like, everyone hated him. As a kid. Everyone hated him. Not just as like the way he was written, just like, this kid sucks. This character sucks. But they did such a good job with the father and the son. Because Bruce has never been a dad. He was always kind of like a surrogate father to Tim Drake and Dick Grayson, all these guys, but he was never a father. And he was a terrible father to those guys.
So Grayson's dead.
His blood.
And Grayson's dead at this point.
I don't think so.
Oh, really?
I think they're all alive.
You think so?
I'll bet they're all alive. They're all off living worlds. Like, Bruce was a terrible father. I fucked up in the head from this. This is who I am. I think this is his chance. Like, I got to raise this kid. This is my blood. And I think we'll have the other Robins in it. I think they will be.
And then, so this is...
I think that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
I want to see that. That was my top pick. I was like, I want a Batman and Robin movie. I want a Batcave with a giant robot dinosaur and a giant penny.
Yes. Well, if you're looking at timeline here, right? Yeah. So Batman 2, the Batman 2 comes out in 2025.
Right.
So Superman comes out in 2025.
I think it's 26.
I think this is 27.
Really?
Yeah, because I think we're getting
4 years from now.
Think about it. You got this other one. Not this one, but This one.
Yeah.
This one I think comes out in 2026. And then this one comes out in 2027.
Oh, Jesus.
That gives you enough time. That gives you 2 years to separate Pattinson from a new Batman.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Unless, you maybe have him show up in another one of the movies or something too. But it allows you to set this whole story up that then starts to play Superman and Batman starting to get involved. And then, you can close out the Pattinson Batman one.
You're right.
Unless you're doing a trilogy. I don't know.
You think he's doing a trilogy?
Is he doing a trilogy?
But I don't
know. I don't know.
I hope there's not an end to that. I know Reeves only said 3, but
Not sure. But this one,
You're right.
But I don't know. Well, who knows if I'm right? It could be absolutely.
Yeah.
They could start releasing. I just don't think 2 years should be the plan yet.
you think just one?
I think so. I think that's probably.
Well, we're
the
getting
smart move.
TV shows, but
Right,
we're not getting
right.
TV shows like Star Wars, where it's just like it's Andor, but then we're hoping for a movie. This is all connected,
Right.
and the animation stuff they can crank out fast too.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
don't know.
the one a year.
It's amazing because
might
back in
be-
the day that wasn't the case.
I know.
Yeah.
The one a year, you're just kind of like, oh god, it sucks when you think about it. It's like, no, but if we've got great TV shows that are all connected,
yeah.
you're fine.
And games too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that one, this one is becoming pretty exciting for me.
I just think of the potential. I think it's a potential. Okay, we talk about this, and
Yeah.
I've said this. Like, God forbid if I see those pearls fall one more time off of Martha Wayne's neck. We've seen so many iterations of Batman, but if they're done well, but this is a version of Batman we have not seen. Like, and I love the Batman, but
Mm-hmm.
this was very much set in the Nolan-ish, early in his career,
Yeah.
realistic take. Like, this is not going to be that. I think this is going to be a kind of fantastical.
Well, you have to from considering Gods and Monsters. the way
Yeah,
it's all
I
set
think
up.
this
Yeah.
is him. You know, and it's going to be a Batman and Robin we've never seen, a dynamic we've never seen.
This one's interesting to me. And then after that, now I think I missed Supergirl hasn't. Maybe that's after this, but Booster Gold.
Yep.
I've heard from Booster Gold from you and Johnny LaQuasto and everybody wants to see Booster Gold. And the explanation of him made a lot of sense. That again, James Gunn type character, where here's this guy from the future who's using future technology to make himself look like a superhero. Now, if Chris Pratt wasn't Star-Lord, he would be a perfect
100%.
Booster Gold. But they're talking about what's his face, Glenn Powell. Which I
The
think,
Top Gun guy?
right, the Top Gun guy.
The Top Gun guy?
I think that Glenn Powell.
He would be phenomenal. People talk about Glenn Powell for Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
And I said, no, he played a very similar character in Maverick.
And he didn't play, but he played a pilot in Devotion.
Right. I was like, no, the guy's beyond that. Like, but Booster Gold would give him a chance to show his chops because he's good in like his rom-coms he does.
Yeah.
The Glenn Powell. He's real good in that stuff.
He's good. He's a really.
So
he was
I Booster Gold, I didn't come with, someone said that, and I was like, that's perfect.
yeah, I saw Ash Crossan, I think, post about it.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. So-
but yeah, Glenn Powell
Well,
would be
Booster
amazing.
Gold would be great. There's no way we don't get Blue Beetle with the two of them. They're the
then
dynamic duo.
So then that would make then Blue Beetle part of this DCU.
Because that's what I'm saying. There's rumors that Ted Kord is in the Blue Beetle movie. Ted
Who the
Kord is
hell's
his
Ted
man.
Kord?
He's his mentor.
Okay.
And he was the original. He's not the original Blue Beetle. There was Dan Garrett was the first one.
So is Blue Beetle essentially like Spider-Man?
He's a legacy character.
But is it Spider-Man's like what I should say? It's like is it?
Miles and Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
But older and younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's
Okay.
a great dynamic.
Got it.
But Booster Gold and Blue Beetle are like Abbott and Costello they're the. Remember we talked about in Star Wars the two stormtroopers that just bumbled their way through these grand adventures.
Yeah.
Put the two of
That's
them in
what
there
they
like
are.
that, and
Okay.
it could be, yeah.
All right, before we get to the Supergirl one, because I want to get to that, and then we'll kind of close out. I was very excited, and I've been talking to you guys about it. Our new sponsor, BetterHelp. Oh, man, so excited to be working with them. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/bigthing and get on your way to being your best self. I'm so excited that BetterHelp is back. You guys know when we were with SEN, we were doing SEN Live. BetterHelp was with us, and we really, really were such major fans and so pumped to know that they are coming back to be with Big Thing. If you're at your best, you can do great things. And sometimes life gets you bogged down and you can feel overwhelmed, like you're not showing up in the way that you want to. I can tell you right now that this was the case for me. I've talked about this not too long, about a year ago. I was in that headspace. I was there, and I remember I'll be honest, BetterHelp, and it helped me tremendously. I've talked about it. And, just you get into that rut. Working with a therapist, it can help you get closer to the best version of you. Because when you feel empowered, You're more prepared to take on everything that life throws at you. It helped me. Be able to talk to somebody, and I've mentioned this in the past. I've been in places when I've decided not to talk to people, and I got myself in trouble from doing it. I didn't talk to anybody. I let things bottle up inside. Don't do it. Because I'm telling you, when you talk to somebody, it helps. It really, really does help. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, it's flexible, it's affordable, and it's entirely online. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and then switch therapists anytime, no additional charge. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/bigthing today, and you get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, HELP.com/bigthing. So thanks again to our sponsor, BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp, and you should take a look. And if it helps you, please let us know. And they're phenomenal, and I'm so glad that they are back. All right, rounding out though, Mike, we got this Supergirl movie.
Yeah.
Now, there's a sword in the back, looking like She-Ra. But so she was raised on as they said that the comparison like Superman was that Superman was raised by nice parents on Earth, and here she was on like a rock on Krypton.
I think they said like a piece of Krypton.
Yeah,
that exploded. They're living off this thing.
She was raised on that thing, and so then she finds herself. This is the image that they chose. So once again,
there's a more of a current run that was that he fell in love with.
That's what I'm saying is that he's going more towards the dark on a lot of this stuff.
I'm curious with Supergirl because we have a Supergirl in Sasha Calle, I think her name is, in the Flash movie.
Oh, in the Flash movie. Okay, okay.
There's Supergirl.
Okay. You think that'll be her?
And the rumor was that that was going to be the new version of Superman in this whatever post-Flash world. So it's not Sasha Calle going forward, I don't think.
Right. So right.
And the fact that they are doing a Supergirl movie speaks to me that, okay, he had an idea.
Yeah.
I would have thought they would have done more of like a Legion of Superheroes with Supergirl, which is going to be the animated movie coming out soon. That's like the Authority was a curveball out of left field. Right. This is a weird one to me. I'm like,
yeah, it's interesting.
He must have picked this because it fits in with what he's doing, but I don't know how.
I think it fits into what he's doing. Well, tone-wise, it definitely fits into what he's doing so far. Like, you look at every single thing that they announced was that there you have this world that is just kind of people are shit.
Yeah.
And then the only one so far that seems that is trying to fight against that is Superman.
Right.
Supergirl seems to be kind of bummed out and wanting to go and fight against the crap, but because she's pissed off. Batman's trying to deal with his lunatic son, right? You got the Authority, which are a bunch of jerk-offs who want to kill all the rest of the jerk-offs. And you know, Amanda Waller's not a good person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, nobody's good so far in this whole thing, and there seems to be like a theme.
Yeah.
You know, overall. So I think it's an interesting choice for sure. And I also think one of the other reasons that you lead with it is because it's the first and the only one. Well, Amanda Waller, who is not a superhero per se, but it's a female-led show.
Right.
And then you got another TV show with the Amazons TV show. Yeah. There's no female-led movie yet. And here you go. Now, the question would be, if you're not getting Supergirl, if there was no female-led movie, they'd be like, well, where's Wonder Woman?
Right.
And instead they go, we're not going to do Wonder Woman yet, but we are going to do Supergirl because we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Helen Slater will be reprising the role.
The only thing I'm saying is that we're going to have a Supergirl that audiences might fall in love with in the Flash.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I don't know. We don't. That's the oddball that I can't think. Like, we talk confusion. Like, this is the one that confuses me. I'm like, all right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, there is a plan, and then the plan continues on because we're talking about 10 movies, potentially 10 years or 10 sets of whatever, the 10-year plan. Continuing on now, and then you got Swamp Thing. Now, I love the old Swamp Thing movie with Heather Locklear, by the way.
That was the second one, you know.
I guess so.
Jesus. You want to talk about when I have to watch Inner Geekdom and what I had to deal with?
Did you have to watch that?
Dude, it is.
I'm not telling you how. It's terrible. It's terrible.
The fat sidekick, the two kids, the black kid and the white kid.
I haven't seen
those
that in
were
a long
the
time.
best.
Yeah.
But my God.
It's a bad movie, I know.
The first Swamp Thing is like, okay.
Is the second one the one with Heather Locklear?
Yes. It is. The first one is schlocky.
Yeah.
John Carpenter, Wes Craven, it's just that vibey that they were in this no budget crap in the swamp, But the second one is like, oh my God, it's fucking terrible.
Terrible.
Didn't they
do a TV show recently that was pretty good?
Well, they've done several TV shows.
No, but I remember there was a controversy there because they canceled it.
It was like
fast.
HBO Max's, Disney,
not Disney.
DC.
Oh, right. When they had
Titans, Doom
that
Patrol, and
service,
Swamp
whatever.
And it was great.
That's what I heard. Yeah,
it was
great.
They
got rid of it.
Mears, Derek Mears was the Swamp Thing guy.
Okay,
it was a great show. Like everyone loved it, and then I remember either they cut the budget or they
DC All Access, wasn't it?
Yeah, whatever it started off as. But then it was like, I think it's when they started that for like the first year, and then they were going to move to HBO Max, but HBO Max didn't want it.
That's what it was. It was
a controversy. And they cut it without telling the cast, and it was a debacle.
I remember.
That show.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I remember that. But this
one
was
good.
So they announced this, and what I liked the announcement behind it was that was the horror behind it. Because remember, like James Gunn, no stranger to horror, Slither and other things that he's done. And this, and again, not that he's going to direct it, but that he's going to oversee it. And by doing it this way, and I think that it's going to be I'm going to guess and say this is going to be like a straight up horror film because.
And it's a film or a TV show?
This is a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a movie. So.
Then I see this as because there was a run. I think it started with the New 52 where he was involved with what's called the Green, and that's like the Earth itself. But it lends himself because he's always been involved in the Justice League Dark.
Right.
So it lends them to those characters. Entrigan, Deadman, Constantine, Zatanna. So I think you got a guy in the swamp that doesn't really talk a lot. You're going to have a great supporting cast in there. So I have a feeling, and you're not going to do something that the TV show did.
Right.
So the TV show stayed away from that more arcane, mystic stuff. So I think.
Well, I think they're going to do a straight up horror film because I think that he made it pretty clear, James Gunn, that how you're going to see different things. Right. What he's got to do is he's got to differentiate himself from Marvel. Right. He has to,
of course.
And Marvel has done these things where, like, you look at Doctor Strange 2, which I didn't love. But there were certain horror elements in that kind of carried over from the Derrickson original take. Sure. And Sam Raimi did some pretty kind of horror stuff with the Dead Strange and all this stuff. It was there, but the movie itself isn't. And even with Wanda, it was scary at times, and there were some pretty creepy things in that movie. You couldn't really classify it as a horror film, right? No. I feel like you're going to look at this more so like this is a horror film that just happens to have a comic book character in it. That's my gut instinct on it for some reason. And I think that it's a smart move because it changes. And it's like, because as you mentioned before, he said, look, this is going to be like a standalone thing, but it's still going to connect.
Yeah.
So that way, if it is a horror movie and just horror fans go to see it and they don't put like a ton of money into it, but it's just enough to where they're going to try to do like the Blumhouse effect,
right?
Put like a lower budget, you know what I mean? They put a lower budget behind it, and they get people in the theater to see it, and it comes out in like a February, March. It makes a shit ton of cash. It costs nothing to make, right? And then it, oh, by the way, there was a reference to this, and it connects to that.
Yeah.
Remember
that artifact that they found? Watch that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a smart move. And I think if they do it that way, like this movie should not cost a lot of money to make.
It depends.
It shouldn't.
If this is your gateway into the Justice League Dark stuff that Del Toro was trying to do forever.
I don't think it's as universal, and I think it's too much. It's the same reason that you look at like Black Adam.
Yeah.
Black Adam cost way too much money to make. It cost way too much money to make. And that's one of the main reasons that the movie made like $500 million.
It's one thing to make
a
movie
even barely.
It's one thing to make a movie about the Joker. It's another thing to make a movie about Black Adam.
I know.
He's a D-list, and the fact that like
Swamp, you think Swamp Thing
is not supposed to be with Shazam? Like the fact that they were actively fighting that.
I'm with you, but Swamp Thing is. That's why I'm saying
Swamp Thing is niche. But that's why I'm like.
That's why you put if you do it, and that's why I'm saying by approaching it in a horror. I think the horror way that they're doing is really smart. They do it the right way.
If you pump that film a couple later and you get the people going for DC, you build that MCU train where it's just like, oh my God, I love what they're doing. I gotta see the next thing. What's next for them?
Unless it is a straight up horror fan, you got to understand that not everybody is a horror fan. And
I'm not a horror fan.
I'm not either. But if it has a good story and it plays well, then I respond to it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that I always use The Conjuring as an example, right? And I think that if they do it the right way, that's why I think the strategy behind it, if they are doing that strategy of, hey, we're going to make a Swamp Thing movie, We're going to do the Blumhouse effect to it. We're going to make it connect, but it's going to be, it's the way I always wanted Terminator, the new Terminator, to kind of be instead, because like Terminator, they keep dumping hundreds of millions of dollars in Terminator. Nobody wants to see it. But if they went back to like the 1984 approach, it costs you not that much money to make, and you do like a small little, sci-fi film. Yeah. You got an opportunity to build off the IP, and if you do that with the Swamp Thing, and you take a loss on it because it's like, hey, look, the movie cost $40 million to $50 million to make, and it made $100.
You also got to give them something though that the show didn't give. Like you gotta,
it
just can't be the Swamp Thing in the swamp solving murder mysteries with some, hillbilly cop.
But I'll tell you what's interesting is that we were able to full a full show and even do more. We're gonna have a week to talk more about it, because he did give you a lot. He says like we opened in the beginning of the show, it's very confusing still. And I don't, and as much as I like the plan and the announcements, and I think that the movies all sound and the TV shows sound really interesting, I still don't know what the hell's going on with everything else, and it's still not very clear to me. That's the biggest criticism I have so far. He sold it as if he had a real good answer to it, but it wasn't. I mean, it's like, wait, but who, what, then where, how? But the actual movies themselves, I think, are interesting. I do understand the criticism if you're not a Gunn fan, that it seems like it's scratching a lot of the stuff that he wants to do, but I think it's his prerogative. It's his game plan. It's the coach, if you use Mike's analogy.
They interviewed a lot of coaches.
Yeah. And they liked his game plan the most.
And he came in, he's like, this is what I love your team. I love what your team stands for.
And I think my plan can get us into the end zone.
Yeah, I think we get to that Super Bowl every single year. Yeah. Just back this plan.
All right. Well, now it just really is up to you guys, man. We have this is a full episode on the big thing. We normally don't have episodes on Tuesday, but because of the big announcement, we decided to absolutely do it. Mike was nice enough to come on over and drive over to talk with you guys. Out of all this stuff, first of all, do you think it's confusing? I mean, because even Mike is a bit confused on this stuff too. Do you guys, are you still confused? You're like, no, I got a clear cut. It makes a lot of sense to me. Very curious there. What out of all the projects do you think has the most potential? Do you agree that if Superman eats it, then the whole thing is toast and we're back to Dark Universe?
I'm just like, so you thought about that. Like, I'm thinking where we are right now. Like, what we know about the MCU going forward, phase 5 and 6. I know what is coming. I'm confused.
Right.
Fantastic Four, when's it coming? The mutants are going to be your X-Men?
Right.
But I trust them.
Well, you trust them,
because I know at the end of it, come 4 years from now when I'm watching the Kang Dynasty, and the Fantastic Four with the X-Men.
They've proven themselves so far.
And everyone will like lose my mind like I do with Endgame. Right. So I just would say they got the plan. Everyone wanted a plan for DC. They want to we want a plan. We want a plan. There's a plan.
Star Wars, take notice.
Now if they can get on board.
That being said, now, do you guys agree that Mike should probably be on Capes and Cowls, because he talked more in this show than he did in 5 episodes of Sith Council?
You should put me back on that camera right now. Because when what you guys don't see at home is when I'm sitting there and that my chair over there, I see this. Because I talk a lot and I don't like to talk. We've got 3 people on Sith Council and I can't. I've learned to not talk over you and Steph.
I don't know if you've learned that.
Well, I try.
You've gotten better.
This is just you and me talking DC.
Right, and you didn't cut me off as much as you do normally, so that's good.
Because it's a conversation. It's like acting.
What's the other?
Did you know?
Go ahead, Michael. Michael, how do you feel about this?
Because I was talking to you. It's the 2 of us right here. Because I look at this eye and I look to that eye right there.
Yes.
I don't do this, and I don't blink a lot. But look this eye to that eye. And that's why we had a conversation.
I like that. Did you know that there's hidden footage of both?
Oh shit!
There is of Michael Caine and Gary Busey as Batman. Did you know that? Hold on, let me play it.
I believe that the Joker has been communicating with trash cans downstairs in the basement. I'm going to go, Alfred. Can you go ahead and get my Batmobile ready? It's the one with the bagels, has the front tire and back tire.
I can't tell if we're doing a scene or not. Now, did you know that if we're supposed to be having this scene together, people are not supposed to know it's supposed to be acting together. We're supposed to look and have like we're having a rehearsal. Now, you just mumble-jumbled your mind, and I don't know what is going on in that fucking head of yours.
What?
You seem, sir.
What? Sir, simultaneously, ice cubes rendering. That is what is happening inside the inner lobes of my back tube.
Not a lot of people know this, but I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Busey, and you can carry this on wherever you go. Did you know that it takes a man in a tweed suit 5.5 seconds to fall from the top of Big Ben to the ground? Now, not a lot of people know that.
I had a friend named.
Now, did you know when I'm talking out of my ass like that? That's what you sound like right now. So.
I had a friend named Big Ben, and one time he took a Doberman Pinscher and he whipped him around by the tail and he swung him around. And most people would think, "Hey, don't do that to the dog." The dog understood that it was his time to access the earth, and inside of that, he realized that pizza should be made from the outside of a Chucky mask.
In the conversation, this is the turn. And I need to get to the prestige because I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about.
Try being on a roof with them. All right, everybody. Thank you. Twice. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the show. Mike Kalinowski, myself.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you back. So I'm probably going to move Sith Council to Thursday. And then tomorrow will be a big thing with me, Roxy, and Brett, because we'll probably cover this a little bit more. And then we'll be back with some Star Wars stuff on Thursday, take a break, and then Capes and Cows. Again, we'll be back talking about this for sure all week on it. All right. Once again, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you. And thanks again to Mike, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace. Oh, yeah, do me a favor before we even do that. If you haven't done this, go ahead and subscribe. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.